Think we're live. Good morning, everybody. There's already several of you here already. I see Vampira. I see, I'm going to say Yenny, although I know it's Jenny. Rachel and Chris and Sean and Marcus. Good morning, everybody. I hope you guys are having a good morning. I am having a pretty good morning. If you hear little jingles over throughout the stream, Stormy's in here with me, and she's trying to get accustomed to her new dog bed. Well, it's not new. We had this dog bed for forever. She refuses to use it. Instead, she wants to sleep under the Christmas tree on the Christmas tree skirt. So now I have the tree skirt draped over the dog bed to see if she will sleep in the dog bed. So we're trying something new this morning, but she's having a time over there. Good morning, Bad Wolf and Elena and Aileen and Karen and Diane, Carmenlita and Teresa. Good morning, everybody. Today we are going to be working on turning my it's not full scale, my 12th scale chair pattern down to half scale. And I haven't done this before, but I've had several people ask me about changing scales and patterns. And since I'm working on the Fairfield, which is in half scale, I thought this would be a good way to get started on working through that, because eventually I do want to have all my patterns where you can use them in both full scale and half scale, but there are some things you have to think through when you are changing scales. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. I'm hoping I can get the entire chair done in 2 hours time, but we shall see. Let's see. Lonnie, good morning. First live stream I've been able to catch. Yay, I'm so excited you're here. Let me know if I said your name correctly. Good morning, Cindy. Good morning, Lily and Diane. Y'all probably won't recognize Stormy if she comes over here later. She got a haircut and she's looking different. She kind of reminds me of like a little house elf because she got quite a bit of hair taken off. A lot of hair taken off. So she's looking a little different. Still Stormy, still adorable personality little Stormy. She's just not quite as fluffy. So if she comes over here to hang out, I'll get her on stream for you guys. Okay, so I've had comments, people asking how do I do this in a different scale, and so because I'm working on a half scale project, I know half scale is not as popular as some of the other scales, but I think it's becoming more popular. I'm not quite sure, but I like half scale. I don't think I would go smaller than half scale, but it definitely works in the reverse as well. If you want to go up to like 1/6 scale, which is kind of fashion doll scale, so like Barbie scale. So I'll talk about that just a tiny bit, but today I'm going to be focusing on going smaller. Our cats would rather sleep in a box than a cat tower. Yeah, animals, it's interesting what they choose. Good morning, Lil Miss Kitten. I'm hoping to use techniques for 1/48 scale. Yeah, I would love to see if you can even get it down further. Like, I know people work in quarter scale more than half scale. It's just too small for me. I mean, I guess I should say I haven't tried it in a while, or actually haven't tried it hardly at all, I guess. I mean, I did it a little bit in college because a lot of architectural models are in a quarter scale, but I just can't imagine working that small. I'm glad you're back too, Marcus. Oh, good. I'm glad I said your name correctly. Stormy had a spa day. Yes, she did. Oh, someone said something in Russian. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to translate it while I'm live. But thank you for being here. First live stream I've managed to watch. 2 hours, no, I have to drive the bus for a field trip. Oh no. Well, it will be back on my channel, so if you don't get to stay for the whole live stream, right after it's done, it should be on my channel. And it seems like Stormy wants to say hi. Come here. Come here. Come here. Everyone's gonna see your haircut. Look, all her fluff is gone. So she looks like, to me, she looks like a little house elf. She's still got her fluffy ears. Say good morning, everybody. She's not allowed to get near my desk because she is definitely a grab stuff and run and hide it. Yeah, you like to grab stuff and run and hide it. So she doesn't get to get near my desk very often. Oh, y'all can't even see her. She's in front of the mic. Oh my goodness. Say good morning. Oh, all right. Go play. I have a whole house my husband already built that I have to decorate and furnish. Oh, yay. That's exciting. My name is Leslie. Good morning, Leslie. I'm so glad you made it to the live stream. Good morning, Carrie. Said Carrie. Karen. Aw, thank you. Okay, so this is my full scale pattern. I'll go ahead and get explaining for you guys. This is the 12 scale pattern, and this is the pattern that I linked to in my original video. I think it went up 2 years ago? 1.5, 2 years ago, something like that. And in that video, I made this chair. And this is the chair that's the thumbnail of the video. So if you go searching for it, this is the chair that you're looking for. And this is the pattern that goes with it. So it ends up being a 12th scale size chair. So when I take it down to half scale, so basically I just went into Photoshop and I did like a 50% shrink. And that's an easy way to do it. You can also, if you don't have Photoshop, you can take a copy of the large template, take it to like a place that has like Xerox machines, so like an Office Depot or something, and tell them that you want it shrunk 50%, and they should be able to do that for you. Now, I have put in the description of this live stream, there is a downloadable template for half scale, and it looks a little different from this because I changed the titles of the materials. And then down here, mine says this line should be 1 inch long to create a 12 scale chair. Yours, if you download the template, says this line should be a 1/2 inch long to create a 1/24 scale chair. So 1/24 and half scale, did I say that right? Yeah. Half scale, why does that sound weird? No, that's right. Okay, so 1/24 and half scale are the same thing. Basically, they're saying half because it's half the size of a typical dollhouse scale. And so the typical dollhouse scale is 1/12. And if you do all that fraction math that you learned in school that was really annoying and you had to go through, half of 1/12 is 1/24. Okay, I'm going to show you on a ruler. And for those of you who already understand scale, I'm explaining this because I've gotten a lot of questions, and I do want to do a video over scale, but I do know that it can be confusing. So I'm just going to take the time to go through it now. So for anyone who had those questions or who's new into miniatures, it can be really confusing when you're new in miniatures for sure. Okay, so 1/12. If you take, and I know this is not metric, I know a lot of you work in the metric system, but this is what we use in the US. I know we're behind on the times here. If you use a ruler with inches, 1/12 scale, there's 12 inches in a foot. So 1/12, so that means one part of the 12 is a foot. So 1 inch equals 1 foot. So 1/12 scale, this is how big a foot is. When you do 1/24, it means that you're dividing the ruler up into 24 pieces, which means that 1/2 inch equals a foot, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 24 half inches in a foot. So that means that 1 foot is a half inch instead of a full inch. And that's why they call it half scale. So 1/24 and half scale are the same thing. So let me know if that made sense. And I hope it did. You can feel free to leave questions. I'm going to try I don't have my sister here to help me with questions. I'm going to try my best to keep up with any questions. But if you see a question that you can answer in the comments, feel free to do that as well. Let's see. Darlene says I'm life size. That's awesome. Half scale also means that half inch equals 1 foot. True. Google Calculator has been my friend learning scale. Oh yeah. If you have a link to an online converter, send it to me and I will try and post it in the description. I've got to like look at it and make sure, and just like test it and everything. But yeah, that would be great if you had an online thing, like a resource other people could use. Let's see. 1/12 scale is easier to do the math in my head, but I still have to run the numbers a lot. Yeah, it takes a little bit. Like you'll get used to it if you work in it for a while. So now I've worked in 12 scale for so long that I can look at something and know immediately if it's in 12 scale. So you'll just get used to it. I'm still working on half scale. So if I look at something, I'm like, I think it's half scale, but like I'd still have to measure it to make sure. All right. So if you do shrink your own pattern. So if you make your own pattern, not even just this one, but another pattern, it's actually going to look as though it's a quarter of the size. So you would think if you shrink this, it would be half the size of the paper, but it really ends up looking like it's a quarter of the paper. And this is because you have to half the size of the height, half the size of the width. So it ends up being kind of in the quarter part of the paper. So that's why it looks like it's smaller than a half. I just want to get that out there because there have been people who've confused. They're like, it looks like it's too small. But this is the correct size. It should look like it shrunk into a quarter of the paper, but that's because it's half the height, half the width of the original pattern. So I hope that helps, but if you don't want to think through that, there is a pattern you can download down below in the description. Let's see. It's in CH calculator. Oh, okay. I'll have to look that up. Hi, Marcia. For some reason, the half-inch chair you're making looks huge to me to be half scale. I'm looking at my dollhouse right now, and the chair looks gigantic. Just me? Yes, this chair is 12 scale. We're making a smaller version of this. So this chair is half scale. So when you put this chair on this pattern, this is going to be the correct size. It's going to be a little bit taller maybe. And it's going to be upholstered. But yeah, this one is 12 scale, but this is the pattern that I'm reducing to half scale. This is a half scale chair. These are my little residents for the Fairfield, and so I need chairs that fit them. And these guys are even just a little bit larger than half scale, but they should still work in my project. So these are my little Fairfield residents, and they would like some chairs, I'm thinking. So if you download the pattern, the top part of the pattern is going to have pieces that say cardstock, and so you can cut those off and save those for later. And the bottom part of the pattern is going to say mat board. Mine says foam board because I just printed out mine to make sure it was the right scale, and then I changed all of them. But if you download the pattern in the description box, it will say mat board, and that's because we're going to cut these out of mat board. And the reason for that is if you scale down your patterns, you also need to scale down the thickness of the materials. And this is where a lot of people get frustrated, because if you don't scale down the thickness, your, like the materials are still going to look like they're in 12th scale, and you're going to get really frustrated because your half scale miniature is not going to look right. It's just going to look like a really fat, frumpy, short 12th scale miniature, and it's not going to look like it's in half scale. So you also have to scale down the width or the thickness of your material. So that's why I've changed from foam board in the original pattern to mat board for the half scale, because foam board is about 1/4 inch and mat board's even a little bit skinnier. It's a 1/16 inch thick, but I can't scale down my quilt batting, which is another thing I have to use. So it's kind of making up for the fact that I have to use quilt batting that's in the same size. So I hope this all makes sense. If it doesn't, please leave questions, because I'll try my best. Hi, Rob. I made my own armature out of wire foil electrical tape for scale reference until I can afford a figure. Her name is Lucy. Oh, that's awesome. I made a Blythe doll figure because someone asked me to custom make a chair. Well, unless you are familiar with the doll collecting world, Blythe dolls are very expensive. I could not afford one just as like a scale model, so I made one out of yarn and tried to make sure I got all of the sizes correct, especially like the head size, because Blythe dolls, the heads are bigger, and my daughter did not like it. She's like, it just looks weird. It just looks weird, Mom. Like, I'm sorry, I just need to know the size of it. Let's see. Anyone know the cheapest okay looking 12th scale figure? So I don't know if you have a Hobby Lobby near you, but they sell like family packs of 12th scale dolls. They aren't the best looking dolls. You could kind of work on them a little bit, but if you get a coupon, then you can use the coupon to purchase them, and that will take down the cost of the dolls. But that's the cheapest I know of. Danielle says, I find real life plans to make miniatures too. 1/12 is easy conversion. I'm excited to work smaller. Yes, you could change the batting to felt. Felt might be a little bit thinner. You do have to be careful when you change it to felt, just to make sure that like if you're using a white material for upholstering your chair, make sure you use a white felt. Otherwise, if you use like red felt underneath, it's just going to, you're going to be able to see it through the fabric. So just be careful with the color felt that you use. Okay, so these pieces are going to be cut out on mat board. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to have you guys vote. Oh, bye, Darkest Raven. Thank you for stopping by. You be safe in Australia. Be safe. I know you guys are going through a lot right now. Good morning, Rhonda. Morning, Angela. For quilt batting, you could substitute with cotton balls that you pull and stretch out. That's true. You just have to get it like really thin. I mean, like really flat and stuff. For the quilt batting, you could I read that. Sometimes Hobby Lobby marks down the miniature stuff, so you can't use the coupon. That's true. If they mark down the miniature stuff, it's 50% off, which is good. Hi, everybody. I have the Scale Calc app on my phone for conversions. Oh, that's awesome. I have to look that up too. Okay, so I have these 3 fabrics that I thought would look good for a 70s armchair. And when you're picking out fabric for half scale, remember it's got to be like really tiny print or like a solid color. But I like prints, especially for like the 70s, 60s type theme that I'm going for. So I'm going to call this fabric 1. This is fabric 2. This is fabric 3. So y'all vote if you think I should do the chair in 1, 2, or 3. This one's kind of like more like a colorful floral. So this would actually be a really large floral print in half scale. This one's red with like some goldish dots. And then this one is just a very small brown print with brown little flowers on it. So y'all vote if you like fabric 1, 2, or 3. You can just put 1, 2, or 3 in the comments, and then we'll go with what everyone thinks. Meanwhile, I am going to start cutting these guys out from mat board. And if you want to, you can follow along, because I'm really starting from scratch. I thought maybe I should cut these out beforehand, but I don't know. I actually didn't end up really having a lot of time this week. So I just ended up saying, okay, we'll do it all in the live stream. See, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2 or 3. So I'm seeing lots of 2s and 3s. Oh my goodness. Okay, I think I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3. Okay. I think it's going to be 3 is what I saw the most of. So I think we're going to go with 3. And we'll do that one. It was kind of between 2 and 3, but I think we'll go with 3 and see how it turns out. 3 looks like grandma's chair. So maybe I should have cut these out beforehand. So all I'm doing here is I'm just going to trace these onto the mat board, and I already changed the blade in my X-Acto. So hopefully it should be fairly simple to cut out each one of these pieces. And this is going to be really tiny, I can already tell. This one I'm going to put along the edge here. So the side ones are going to be a little bit more difficult to cut out, but these square ones will go rather quickly. And even if you don't have like the quilt batting or something, you can still, if you want to work along with me, you can still work on the body of the chair and then go out and get some later, or you can work on the full-size chair too. I don't have the link to that in the description of this video, but you can go find the video on my channel if you want to. It's going to be very similar steps. There is going to be one big step that I leave out, and I'll tell you when that is. One big step that I'm going to leave out that's different on the half scale chair, just to kind of get rid of some of the bulk, because that's what we're going to be fighting against. As we go smaller, we just have to get rid of the bulk that comes along with just so much fabric, and that's what we're going to be working on. So y'all have to let me know what your favorite scale to work in is. I'm really starting to like half scale just because I can still get in a lot of the detail you can in 12 scale, but you just have to be like really creative with how you do it, because you can't always do the same things in 12 scale that you do in half scale, or you can't do all the things in half scale that you do in 12 scale. I'm going to start cutting these guys out. I'm just going to cut this off first. If you're using an X-Acto knife, please be careful. If you're a child, don't use an X-Acto knife. Well, thank you, Mark. You don't have to use the bright sides. Oh, of the fabric? Is that what you mean? Yeah, that would be, I don't know. I kind of like the bright side, but that's true. If you have a fabric and it's just a little bit too much for you, you can always think about using the other side of it. Rachel says, I love the challenge of any scale. Y'all have to let me know what scale you like working in, because I find that really interesting. Some people just definitely have a preferred scale. And my preferred scale is 1/12. I saw Maggie asked what scale the abandoned coffee shop was in, and that was 1/12 scale. And I forget sometimes, I think because I've worked in the scale so often, I forget sometimes, like I can watch someone's hand against a miniature and know what scale it is. And I forget sometimes that, especially people coming into the hobby are not familiar with that comparison. Like your eye just gets used to it as you work in miniatures. And so like, I feel like I need to make sure that I say that more often, what scale things are in. So if I put out a pattern, I try to make sure that on the pattern it says what scale the miniature is in. My goodness. This is some mat board that I purchased and didn't really care for. And it is a pain in the rear to cut. I tried to use it on my laser cutter, but it just warped out of control. I haven't seen any other mat board do that. I mean, literally it almost like curled up to where it would curl and then it would stop the laser from moving. Like it curled that much. And so I had to like strap it down to the cutting table, and it was a mess. So I'm using it now for miniatures here and there, but even this small piece is warped. And so I won't be purchasing this mat board again. And I can't remember what it's called. And it's also kind of hard to cut. Like most mat board, like I would be cutting through it like the first or second stroke, but this is taking like 3 or 4, and I have a new blade in. So it's just kind of weird stuff, I guess. Not my favorite. Let's see. Hi, Emily. Let's see. Love 1/24th. Have you tried the Baltic birchwood? I have not tried birchwood. I know you're not talking to me, but I haven't tried it either. I agree with regards to the details. I've done quite a few of the half scale room box kits, and I really like that the half scale doesn't take over your house the way 12 scale does. Yes, I agree. Because like I have the Addams Family Mansion, which is huge. It's like 6 feet tall by 4 feet wide, and it has its own like rolling cart, and it takes up so much room. And like, I just can't imagine, like, I want to do some other full houses, but I can't imagine having room for that. Like, miniatures just take up so much room. Let's see. I just don't have the room to do a whole house. Yeah. I mean, it does, look, it bent my X-Acto blade. What is with this mat board? The blade is bent. My gosh. Okay, we may have like failure on the mat board here. My goodness. Luckily, you're not going to be able to see all this like horrible cutting. Yep, I have to change my blade. I'm going to get different mat board because I can't imagine cutting any more of this. So, I wish I knew what brand this was. I think I bought this like in a sample pack. This is horrible. Like, hold on, let me get some other mat board. Okay. mat board fail. And it bent my blade. Can y'all see that? That's pretty intense to have mat board bend your blade. Okay, I'm gonna have to find a place to stick this so I don't accidentally stick myself. That was a brand new blade. That makes me very sad. All right, changed my blade. Thought I was prepared. Let's see. Hold on. What happened? At the moment, we're stuck in a hotel, having sold our home and waiting on the new house to be built, available to us, going through crafting withdrawal. So I bought another half-scale 2-story room box to work on. That's awesome. What brand is it? Andy. Hi, Andy. My family built me a dollhouse. Oh, that's so sweet. Okay. Can you do a chair in centimeters on the ruler? I can show it against the ruler in centimeters so you guys can see. I gotta get these pieces cut. This is gonna be like the whole stream, me just cutting out pieces. Not what I intended. We're just gonna call this bad mat board and move on. I was about to say, where's the new mat board piece that I got? It's right here. Okay, let me finish cutting this because I really don't want to take time to cut these guys out. But I couldn't cut it with a crooked knife. Good grief. This is not how mat board's supposed to act. Like if you're having this hard of a time cutting it, it's not how it's supposed to act. Okay. Sorry, we're gonna have to backtrack and I'm gonna have to cut these guys out of this board. Yeah. Luckily, these are the easy ones to cut. I don't like to waste materials, so even if I don't like a material, I'm like, okay, I gotta find something to use it for, but I may just not be able to use that stuff. Luckily, I don't have that much of it. It was like a sample type pack, so I just won't get that anymore. Let's see. Okay, and last one. So hopefully you guys will see the difference when I start cutting these out. It should not be as difficult. There we go. I'm through on the second cut, so it's not being as difficult as the first one, which took like 4 cuts to go through the whole thing. I don't know what's wrong with that mat board. Let's see. Let's see. Can you send photos of an old rusty pot that you could hang over a fire for your Addams family house? Do I already have one? Is that what you have to let me know which room it's in? Because I'm trying to think. I have a cauldron in Grandmama's fireplace. What are you doing? No. She's chewing on boxes. No, ma'am. She has chew toys. Prefers the boxes. Not to sit in like a cat. To eat. All right. One more piece. This is going so much better here. And then we can start gluing it all together. And the other pieces that I cut off earlier, they're going to, see that mat board did not bend the blade. Oops, one more cut. The other pieces are going to be out of cardstock, so that's really easy to cut out. Okay, now we have our first pieces. And I'm just going to kind of carve out the center here that was difficult to cut. And these pieces should still work even though they're kind of got chewed up by that blade. Oh no, I have one I want to give you. Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely send me a picture. Thank you so much for thinking of me. Hi, Pamela. I love the word turdier. Yeah, is that a good word or did I just say a bad word? I will have grandchildren in my spare room, so I really have no room for structures, but I'll be creating lots of miniature doors, and I'll also be making the kits I purchased from you. Oh, cool. Thank you. Yeah, I'm working on kits this week. That's what I've been so busy with. Trying to get some kits out. I think it'll be fun. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start gluing these guys together. I'm going to start with the back piece, and I told I think it was Mike that I would show you centimeters on the ruler. So this piece ends up being about a little over 4 centimeters tall. So that's about the size of the back, and it should be about, or the edge on the sides of the chair are about 4 centimeters long. Oop, y'all can't even see. So there's the pieces against the centimeter side of the ruler. I wish I was a little bit more up to date on the metric system and more used to using the metric system, because I realize the majority of the world uses the metric system. But I've just had, what is it, the imperial system? Inches and feet just ingrained into my head since I was young, so that's just what's in my head. So I'm gluing the side of the chair to the back of the chair. And in my original tutorial, I used hot glue. And hot glue is okay for that tutorial. I don't like to use it a lot because it is thick and it can add a lot of thickness to your miniature when you don't want it to. So since we're trying to cut down on bulk when it comes to the half scale pieces, I'm definitely not using hot glue because that could add some size that I don't want to this chair. I want to try and keep it as sleek as possible. And that means that it's going to take a little bit longer than usual to dry. The nice thing about hot glue is it dries almost immediately. So now I have both sides of this chair glued on, like so. Hi, Claire. Link isn't able to come through, but anyhow, I hope to do the Fairfield when I finish the farmhouse 12 scale from Very Good Toys, from Real Good Toys. Hi, Sheila. Oh, thank you so much. You'll be working on a Victorian 1-inch scale dollhouse. Oh my gosh, it's going to be beautiful. I love the Victorian style. Darlene finds centimeters easier. I'm sure it is, because it's nice to have it divided into millimeters. It makes so much more sense. Okay, so I am going to take one of these pieces that were marked D, and I'm going to complete the bottom of the chair, and that will help it be a little bit sturdier while it dries. So I'm going to do that right now. The next step that I would do for the larger 12 scale chair is to put batting on the outside. And I'm not going to do that for this chair. The reason being is we're trying to cut out the bulk. And so if I added in the batting on the outside, it's just going to add to the bulk of the chair. So I'm going to leave it out, and I'm just going to use fabric on the outside of the chair, not the quilt batting. So I don't know if it's this mat board is warped or what, but my goodness. I'm just going to have to put a big mark on the package of that mat board that says not good. Don't use. Give to children to draw on or something. Yes, the stream goes for about 2 hours, but then it's posted on my YouTube channel. So if you can't stay for 2 hours, you can come back and finish watching it. If you're not one who likes to sit and watch for 2 hours and you want to skip around, you can wait till it's posted on my channel and then skip through to things you want to see. Art glitter glue would work perfect and quickly for you. I use that and washi tape, then remove the washi later. Art glitter glue. So does it have glitter in it, or is it for putting glitter on things? No fractions with the metric system. Yeah, fractions are not fun, but I'm used to them, which is the problem. I brought a San Francisco 550 kit, and I wish I had the VCR cassette that used to go with it. Oh no, the house is super tough to build. I've never heard of that kit, but it's interesting that they'd send you a cassette. See, my living room is my craft room, TV room, dining room, whatever else I need it to be. Let's see. Maybe Stormy will like to chew on it. Chew on what? I got lost. I got lost in the conversation. I'm just wondering how long it was so I knew how comfortable to get. Yeah, we'll be going for another hour and 20 minutes. But if I get close to finishing the chair and I'm just not quite done, then I will try to finish it in the stream. I really would like to finish it in the stream if possible. Okay. So this is the quilt batting that I use for the larger chair. And so what I would do at this moment is take of course it's not finished, it would just be foam board at the time, and then I would wrap the outside of the chair and do, there's quilt batting underneath this fabric. But I'm not going to do that for the outside of this chair. I am just going to wrap it in fabric. So yeah. So what I think I do want to do though is, luckily this stuff dries pretty quickly, I want to make sure that the outside of my chair is as flush as possible. Like, so I have a gap right here, I have like a little edge right here. I want to make sure that it's as flat as possible because there's no batting. The batting kind of covers up a multitude of errors because like it's squishy. So if you have a little gap, then no one's going to be able to tell. But if I'm just covering it with fabric, you're going to be able to see all the mistakes and any little bits that are jutting out. So I am actually going to kind of fill it with this filler type stuff. And this is my dollar store spackle. And let me get a spatula real quick. Oops, I left this open. We'll use this guy. So I'm just going to use this little thing right here. If I'm off screen, someone yell at me and tell me I can't see. Great to see the whole project start to finish. Yeah, sometimes I think it's nice to see the actual speed in which things are accomplished, because I think sometimes, you know, I'll edit a video and it has, like, I'm editing like 8 hours worth of video of me working on something, and I'll edit it down to 20 minutes. And then I think people get frustrated because they're like, it didn't take you this long. But in reality, you know, it took me 8 hours plus because I'm not filming the entire time. I'll turn it off for like dry times and stuff. And then I think it's just nice to every now and then see the actual pace in which something happens. Now, it's not the most interesting thing to watch, but I think it is something to note that probably if you're watching a YouTube tutorial, yeah, it's way sped up, and it's okay for you to take your time and, you know, there's going to be a lot of projects that you're not going, like if you started that day, you're not going to finish it that day. Typically it takes me 2 or 3 days to get a miniature finished, and then it takes me another day and a half to edit everything because it's a lot of cutting out footage. I've gotten better at only filming the things I know I want in the video and just filming a part of it enough so that you understand what I'm doing, but you don't have to watch me like sand the entire project. I can just sand it a little bit, say sand your project, and you guys are like, oh, I know how to sand a project. You don't need to see me sand the entire thing. So I do think sometimes it is nice to see the actual live of how long something takes, just so that you're not discouraged when something takes longer than the 20 minutes it takes on YouTube, or what it looks like it takes me on YouTube. Okay, so I'm just gonna put this on there gently, and hopefully this will dry somewhat quickly. I'm gonna kind of rush it here. Usually I would just like let this sit and dry for maybe like 20 minutes or so, but we're just gonna press on. Also, when you're working with fabric, it's good to make sure that you do keep your surface clean, because you can get stuff on the face of your fabric really easily, and then it's really hard to get off. I've done that a lot. I just bought a book on old Sears and other kit houses of the 20s. That would be fun to build one to scale. Does it have like all the patterns and stuff in it? Sorry if I'm not looking at y'all. I'm looking at the comments here. I have my YouTube stuff up there. I've got my camera here. My neighbor lives in an old Sears house. Sears kit house. Oh, it's like real. Like, gotcha. Cool. I'll be glad to convert the drawings to scale if you need help with that. Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, Sean does, he takes life-size scale patterns and converts them down for furniture and stuff. Okay. So while that's drying, I'm going to go ahead and get my fabric out. I think my surface is dry. I think it's just about time for me to get a new mat. I've basically chopped this part of the mat up. Acetone and all sorts of stuff has like taken off like the markings, and it might be time for a new mat, and this will just become my extra mat. We'll see. Okay, so I've got some fabric scissors. It's going to be a good idea to have fabric scissors for this, because a lot of times paper scissors just really aren't going to work that well for fabric. They do work, but you'll get frustrated trying to cut through the fabric. Okay. I don't think I want to cover the whole thing. Yeah, I think I just want to cover the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a little bit of glue. And I learned a trick. I don't know if it's completely true because I've only started doing this. But if you use this says super thick underneath here, super thick tacky glue, it's less likely to go through the fabric. So if you use the regular tacky glue, it's a little bit more watery, and so it's more likely to go through the fabric. So we're going to try this out. I've tried it a few times and it seemed to work really well. And I need to clean out the nozzle part. Spiritual Casino, you're right on time. We've only been going for 45 minutes, and all I have is I've just put this together. I talked about scale a little bit, and so you're good. We're just now getting into the fun upholstery part. We still got an hour and 15 minutes, so I think we're doing good. Okay, so I'm going to spread pretty thin this thick, super thick tacky glue all along the edge, back here. I'm actually going to take an extra piece of mat board and I'm just going to kind of spread it thinnish, and it is kind of pushing into my, yeah, I definitely should, if I wasn't rushing here, I would have let this part that I did the spackle dry a little bit, but it'll be okay. So now I'm just going to push it down onto my fabric, push it down like so, and I don't have any glue coming through, which is great. Once glue comes through your fabric, it's pretty much stuck there. Spiritual Casino uses fabric glue. Yes, I've used that too, but I've also had issues with it coming through, and I just had a professional doll maker say something about using super thick tacky glue, so I thought I would try it out. So now I'm going to cut close to the edge here, maybe like a 1/4 inch away from the back. And it's Stormy. She's stealing my fabric. She wants to be part of the stream. But I can totally picture her snatching this and running. You can't have the fabric. I'm sorry. Go play with your toys. Go play. She doesn't like not having my full attention. Okay. So I have this fabric. It's just cut a little bit out from the back, and I am going to put a little bit on the edge here and spread it out again and then fold it over like so. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And whenever I edit, this is where I get to skip. I skip, so you only see one side, but then I say, but then do it on the other side. But when I'm live, you got to watch me do both sides, even though they're the same. So now I have it where the fabric is folded like so. You like the fabric? I got it. A lot of the fabrics that I get are from like the clearance section, and so I just go to the clearance section of any place that has fabric and I look for small prints, and if they have small prints, so like the small flowers, then I go ahead and grab it because usually it's on a discount and I know that possibly one day I can probably use some kind of small print. So I just have like a huge collection of small print fabrics that I've picked up at clearance. Okay, so now I'm just going to push over the center section, and I just put one little dab of glue in the center, and I want to make sure that that catches hold really, really well, because this rounded part of the back of the chair, you want to try and stretch the fabric so it looks nice and tight across the rounded part, because that is going to be like the top of the chair is where you first look, I think. Yeah, if you have quilter friends, make sure you make quilter friends because they will pass on fabric to you. And if you're a miniaturist, you can use little bits of fabric, you know, because you don't typically need that much. I mean, look at the size of this chair. So a lot of times they'll use fabric for a quilt and then have a little bit extra, but not enough to use in a whole nother quilt. So yeah, definitely make quilter friends for sure. Have you ever used 3-in-1 glue by Beacon for fabric? I have not. I really stick to the glues that I know, but I'm not opposed to using other types of glue. I'm kind of a creature of habit. So these like little extra wings of fabric on the side, and so I'm just going to kind of cut those off and add a little bit of glue to glue those down tight to the body of the chair. And a lot of this is just going to be me trying to get the fabric glued down and fitting as tight against the mat board as possible. Because if I have a bunch of bulk, it's not going to look right in 12 scale. I buy the small print quarters. Joann's had them on sale. Yeah, you can go to fabric stores. They'll have, what are they called? Fat quarters? Fat quarters, where it's like a roll of, or like a stack of different types of fabric. So you can look for that too. All right. Then I just need to do the bottom of the chair, and I'm basically just going to wrap it like a present so that it wraps around the underside of the chair. Just gonna kind of push it over, push it down into the glue so it's as flat as possible. And I'm not quite sure what I'm gonna do when I get to the feet of this chair, because at the 12th scale chair I used foam board, and foam board you can easily punch holes into. Mat board, not so much. So we're gonna see how we're gonna do that. And actually, I should have used this. This was supposed to be another layer for the bottom, and I didn't do that. I think it'll be okay. So if you did want to add, this is like another level of like just making sure it's secure, but I forgot to do that before I put the fabric on. So we'll just leave this part out. So I missed this piece. It's another D. There's 2 D pieces, so I'm just not going to put that one on there. Oops, sorry. Okay, can you zoom in on top when you finish this step? Okay. So this is it wrapped around the top and the sides, and this was just like a rectangle of fabric, and I cut it down so that it was 1/4 inch from the back, and then I just kind of wrapped it as best as I could and glued it down, and then I just pushed it into these corners and got it glued down as flat as possible. Oh my goodness. Hey, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, I was thinking about using toothpicks for the legs. I do have some toothpicks, so we'll try that out. I'm just not sure. Hey, calm down. It's okay. Go outside and bark. She's very upset at somebody, but I did notice she was laying on the tree skirt. Yeah, you were. On the dog bed. It's a miracle. Okay, so now I'm going to do another little rectangle of fabric to cover the bottom. Before we move on to the insides. So I'm going to cut it down even a little bit more. Like so. I think I'm just going to glue it straight onto this front line right here. So I'm just going to put glue right here, and I'm going to glue the fabric right on top of it. So put a line of glue and take some of it off. And then add my fabric like so. Kind of let that take hold. Drill your feet holes in the piece you forgot, and then attach and paint dark brown. That's a good idea, because then it will look like a piece of wood on the bottom. I might do that because I wasn't quite sure how I was going to do that. It's a good idea, like that. Gluing 3 toothpicks together might give the right scale and add visual interest. Could be interesting. I think 1 toothpick might be the right scale, but I'll have to check. We'll look at it and see what we think. Okay, so I'm just going to cut the edges off so that they're close, and then I'm going to kind of do the same thing we did at the top, where I'm going to wrap it, just kind of push it in the insides here, and glue it down, and then push on the bottom. So it was like this, and I'm just going to push it in like so. I'm just going to pull like this. And this part just kind of helps give more of an upholstered look. It's not as important as the rest of the chair, but it's good to go ahead and do it now before you get to the insides. Okay, so then we're gonna glue on the bottom. Push it all in like so. So now it's glued down like this, and then the outsides, you can see there's still some fabric sticking out. I'm just going to glue that as flat as I can to the sides of the chair. So far, I think taking out the quilt batting is going to give the effect that I want. It's not making it too bulky, but we'll see. We'll keep going. I've never done this before, so we're kind of experimenting together. So I'm just going to fold that over the corner. Danielle said you've been recording yourselves working on miniatures. Yeah, you should definitely make a channel. I think the more miniature channels, the better. I think the miniature community is growing, and it's one of the best communities. It's full of people who like to share ideas, and I think that's kind of rare nowadays. Now it's all like trying to keep your own secrets and stuff. So, but with miniatures, I think you can like know all of the techniques, and you'll still come out with something unique. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen people use my shingle tutorial. I've seen people use my brickwork tutorial. I've seen people use my siding tutorial, and all their work is uniquely theirs. It doesn't look like something I created. It looks like something they created, even though they use the same steps, and it's coming out in their own style. And so I think, you know, even though I'm sharing some of my ideas, it's still going to be a unique piece of artwork because it was done by a different artist. So you've got lots of encouragement, Danielle. I think you should go for it. Okay, so now that we've got the back, the top, and the front, we're going to work on the side pieces. And the nice thing about this material is there's not really like a vertical and a horizontal, because the pattern is so kind of sporadic. If you were using stripes, you would want to make sure that you were lining your stripes up correctly, and that can kind of drive you a little bit crazy. So if you want to use stripes, just keep that in mind, that you will have to try and line everything up, unless you want a chaotic looking stripy chair, which would actually kind of look cool. So I'm going to cut a piece that's about double the size that I need. I'm going to cut it in half because I have to do this twice. So I have these pieces, and I need to make sure they're big enough to cover the side of my chair, and they are. Use the siding tutorial in my childhood dollhouse. It's still Cheez-It colored. I love that. I think it'd be fun just to do like the siding and just leave it cereal boxes. It's so colorful and so fun looking. I think so too, Rhonda. More channels, the more success. Okay, so I'm going to actually fold over and make a hem as straight as possible. I know the line of glue doesn't look straight, but we're just gonna go for it here. And I'm just going to squish it and hold it and hope that it holds. And if I had my miniature iron set up, that would probably be a good thing. Oh, but look what I got for Christmas. Oh my goodness. I got the 1, 2, 3 blocks like Heather Tracy uses. And I have yet to use them. So I'm going to put one of these blocks. Ooh, they're wrapped in something. That's very interesting. Is it greasy? Oh, it is greasy. Okay. Maybe we won't use them. We don't want to use anything greasy. I guess maybe you have to clean them? How interesting. Okay, I haven't used them yet. Let's use them in the box. There we go. We'll just put it in the box since it's greasy. Sorry. I'll have to talk to you later. Oh, Danielle, that's so sweet. Thank you for the super chat. I can't wait to see what you do with the little cottage that you put the dragon on the roof. I know, that's my daughter's dollhouse, and yeah, she's very vocal that it needs to have more work done on it. She's probably right. Okay, so I guess I'll have to message Heather and be like, are the 1, 2, 3 blocks supposed to be like that? How do I clean them off? Oh, oily to keep them from rusting. Interesting. Okay. Guess I have to clean them because I don't want oil on my stuff. So, surprise! See, that's how you know I have not used them yet. I did not know they were oily, but using them in the box works pretty well too. So on the other piece, I'm making a, I was just making sure my address wasn't sticking out on there. Yeah, it works just in the box. That's fine. I will take them out of the box once I know how to clean them up. Wash them with hot water and Dawn dishwashing soap. Oh, cool. I have that. Okay. So now that we have a edge on this fabric, this is going to line up along the back side of the chair like so. And then we're going to just glue the rest of the fabric to the chair, making sure that there is plenty around it so that we can fold over. So this edge is going to line up with the back of the chair like so. And then we just want to make sure that we have plenty of room all around it. Okay, so let me go ahead and get some glue on here. And I'm going to put glue all over the entire side. And I hope I don't regret that. But we're just going for it. I'm going to try and get it as smooth as possible. And then stick it on like so. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it down again so they have like the 1/4 inch amount of fabric all the way around. Like so. So then I have this like this, and it's ready to be like turned under. And before I do that, I'm going to glue on the other side. Nice and flattened here. Andy says, what are the block things for? So they're really heavy blocks. So basically, if you need to keep something flat, that's what I want to use them for, because usually I'm getting up and I'm getting books off of my shelf and I have to get like 3 books to get as much weight as one of these blocks. They also have holes in them, so I'm not quite sure what the holes are for. I don't know if it's like if you're trying to glue something that's like perpendicular. Is that the right word? Perpendicular? Then you can put it through the hole. I'm not quite sure if that's right. You could use them to store pens, maybe? I don't know. If you use 1, 2, 3 blocks, you'll have to let me know what you use the holes for. But they're really heavy. So mainly I'm going to use them for gluing and holding things down, keeping things flat. Add glue to this side. And then flatten it out. Spread it out, I guess. I'm going to add this piece, making sure that I have fabric that goes all the way around the arm here. And even though the glue has pretty well dried on the mat board pieces, I'm still being pretty gentle. If you wait longer for things to dry, then you'll probably be more successful. I'm just kind of rushing through because I want to try and get as much done as possible. Okay, so I'm going to go around like so. So now I have the 2 side pieces covered like this with the hemmed edges towards the back, and then I have the extra hanging off right here, and those are going to get folded under. So I'm going to show you how I do that. They're also called machinist blocks. I think I've heard that before. They are left over from tool and die making. Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. You know, use materials so they're not wasted. Hi, June. Enjoy your lunch. Luke Towan got me hooked. I use mine in Ziploc bags. That's a good idea. Someone said, oh, wrap the blocks in tin foil and put them, protect the item working on, keeps the block rust free. Oh, that's a good idea. I have that too. Okay, so when you're pushing the fabric around the curves of this chair, what you want to do, I'm going to try and do this as close to the camera as possible without cutting my finger, is you want to put little snips in the fabric in the rounded areas. This is going to help the fabric curve around these curved parts. So I did snips in this inside area here, whoops, in this inside area, and then I'm also going to do some along this curve right here because that's quite a curve. And we are going to kind of cover this area later, so don't worry if it's not like the best looking thing, but yeah, we're just going to try our best here to make a smooth transition of this fabric wrapping around this side of I keep putting everything up here. Sorry. We want to make as smooth a transition as we can, wrapping this fabric around this piece of mat board that we cut. So I'm just going to start in the middle here. I don't know if there's a great place to start. It's just kind of a frustrating process the whole way. To be honest, this is the part I like the least, is trying to get the fabric around these curves. But it's the part of it that kind of makes it look like an armchair. So I'm just going to push the fabric in with my thumb and roll it. And then I also want to check the outside because this did make it like poof out just a little bit. So I'm just going to kind of work with the fabric. And you want to do as much as you can to make sure that you like it before the glue dries, because then it's pretty much stuck. Peg holes to place into work table to make 90-degree angles. Oh, interesting. I don't think I have a proper work table at the moment. I just have a desk. It would be awesome one day to have like an actual place for like tools. Like my ultimate mini dream would be actually to have like a shop where I could make dollhouse kits, like actual house kits. That would be awesome, but that is a faraway dream. But it would probably be the most I've ever used my architecture degree. Okay, so when I get to the top, I'm just going to fold this fabric and kind of push it into this corner with my fingernail. I'm just kind of manipulating it until it does what I want it to do. So this is what it looks like so far. Now I'm going to add glue down here and then push this guy like so. Okay. So now I'm going to add, I just put a little bit too much glue in there. There is a book I used to read as an art teacher called Too Much Glue. It's an important book. It's a life lesson we must all learn. Too much glue. I have the space for doing that. I just don't have the money for the equipment. Yep. That's part of it also. We barely could afford the laser cutter, and but I'm very thankful for it, and I'm excited to get going on the kits. The first kit that's coming out, if you got the newsletter, is the shutters. So if you are working on a project with windows, I'm going to have a shutters kit out soon, and it'll have all the pieces you need to make shutters, just like I did for the Addams family. And I'm really excited about that. I really, and then I started with that one because it's the easiest. It's got some of the easiest pieces to cut, and like it has the easiest directions. So while I'm getting used to those things, I just wanted to start with an easy kit, and then I'll get more into kits like the captain's desk, which is going to be a lot more pieces, a lot more instructions, a lot more pictures that go with it. But I wanted to get like the production and posting and directions and making a video, and then also shipping, all of that kind of stuff figured out on a kind of easier kit, so I just wasn't completely overwhelmed. What is YouTube Studio Stream? How can people come to your stream? If people have the notifications on and then you start streaming, it will send a notification to people letting them know that you're streaming. So that's how people know when to come. And you can also set up a schedule or like a time. And then people, like you just go in and say new live stream, and then you set the time, and then people can see when it's coming up. What do you use for the window panes themselves? Do you mean like on the Addams family? Because I used a kit. It came with the dollhouse. The Real Good Toys dollhouse came with the panes. So right now, all I'm doing is the shutters. They go on the outside. So it's not a window kit, it's just a shutters kit. Aira, if you made kits, they'd be so unique. Thank you. I have so many ideas, and there's been so many times as a child. So right now, just so you know what I'm doing, I'm just doing the other side the exact same way I did this first side. When I was a kid, I would have dreams over houses. Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but I would have dreams of me just like walking through these really unique houses. And like sometimes there'd be like nightmare things that happen, like, you know, everyone has nightmares. But the houses, I would have reoccurring dreams about these houses. And they were always so interesting. And like I always wanted to draw them. after I had the dream. And like I didn't have the skills to actually draw anything good looking at that point in my life. But yeah, I've always loved buildings and structures and interesting architecture. So, which is why I went into the architecture field to begin with. But yeah, I think it would be really fun just to make some really out of the box type stuff. Let's see. If you're working in stages, like with flowers, for example, drying in different drying time. Yeah, drying time is important, and it does depend on what you're working on. Are they going to be on Etsy? They're going to be on my personal website, which is bentleyhouseminis.com. There's a few like older things, like already, there's no kits on there right now. There's a few older things in my shop right now, but once the kits go up, I will let you guys know on all my social media stuff. So, window panes, clear packing from food or anything, have a basket full of clear packaging. Yes. I have about 30 windows I need to make for my conservatory, trying to figure out the best material to use. So I know you can get like plexiglass at hardware stores. And so you could do plexiglass. They have different thicknesses. And then you could just cut the size that you need. Some people do use packaging, but it'd be difficult to get enough for that many windows. I mean, unless it's something that you just buy all the time in bulk, like action figures or something, it'd be difficult to get, because usually it's toy packaging that has the plastic, at least in my experience. Of course, I have children, so we just end up having toy packaging every now and then, and so I save that for windows. Let's see. Pamela, you had dreams of houses too? It's so fun. The Square Despair did a bookshop in a row of books. Yeah, I remember that one. I love her channel. Are you going to be able to adjust the length of the shutters, or are they going to come in specific sizes? So right now I have, it's one specific size, but it's a size that should go onto any typical Real Good Toys or Greenleaf kit. But I figure that I'm going to have something in the listing that says if you have a custom size that you need and it gets requested enough, then I might adjust the shutters to also to come in that size. I just made sure that they were shutters that would work for a typical Greenleaf and a typical Real Good Toys, because those are kind of the two big dollhouse makers right now. And so very likely, and a lot of other dollhouses should have similar sized windows. But I'm just going to have it in one size now. But if I have another size that's just repeatedly, many times people are asking for it. I don't know why I can't say repeatedly. I don't know why I can't say that this morning. If someone's asking for a certain size, then I will try to make that size as well. Yes, you can use transparency plastic too. You'll just want to make sure that you make it's not beams, the cross pieces in the windows actual be structural, so that you can glue the transparency to it, because the transparency can warp and be a little bit thin. So just make sure that you've got lots of structure to your window. Lonnie says, I recently started following on Twitter. I don't do Facebook. I may end up getting on Instagram because of all the miniaturists. Yeah, I don't do a ton on Twitter, mostly because I don't quite understand what to put on there. I like Instagram. That's kind of like, I really like Instagram, but also do Facebook. Not silly dreams at all. I had one as a kid where I moved this square panel away from the wall in our laundry room and crawled through to a whole new world nobody else knew existed. That's really cool. It's like a Lion Witch in the Wardrobe. Oh yeah, mullions. That's the word I'm looking for. Okay, so I have the outside of the chair covered. And that's the first step. And now we're going to work on the inside of the chair. So the inside is these pieces right here. And also E, which I have cut out of the mat board. So this piece was cut out of mat board, piece E. And then these pieces are going to be cut from cardstock. So let me cut these pieces out. This will give my little chair some time to dry a little bit as I work on this. And I think we're doing good on time. All right, so I'm just gonna make sure that it all fits. Of course, it should fit when you scale everything down 50%. But also because I'm changing the thickness of items, I wanna make sure everything still fits correctly. And this may look like it doesn't fit, but it's gonna have interior panels here. So that's good. Cut out these pieces. I probably should just have put this on top of cardstock and cut it, because I can cut cardstock with scissors. If I can cut something with scissors, I prefer to do it with scissors than the X-Acto blade. For sure, I'm not a fan of the X-Acto or the craft knife. Never have been, just don't like it. And in college, I started using a box cutter because we had to make models and stuff. And I just ended up using a box cutter more than a craft knife. And by the end of it, I hardly ever used my craft knife at all. Let me know if I missed any questions. Feel free to write them again. It's not going to bug me because it's hard for me to work on something and catch all the questions. So not going to bug me if you had a question and I didn't quite answer it. Okay. So make sure I don't lose the pieces I just cut. Oh, she's sleeping on the dog bed for the first time. If y'all missed it at the beginning, I put the tree skirt, which she's been sleeping on every day, that was underneath the Christmas tree, on the dog bed to see if she'd actually sleep on the dog bed. And she's like passed out. Have you seen the Artful Musings room boxes accessories? They're chipboard. I have not. I don't know that brand, so I'll have to look that up. Artful Musings. I put pin grips on my craft blades so they don't slip. That's a good idea. This one looks gross. It's really old. This one actually has a good grip on it. It's those little bitty, like silver, just metal ones that it's good to put these on there. And this one I've lost the lid to. I don't know where the lid is. I'm going to take a drink of my tea real quick. Okay. So let me get my cardstock here. Come on. So basically, I'm just going to, I guess I'll use a pencil. Sorry, knocking everything over. All right. So I'm just gonna trace this on cardstock to cut it out. And this will be a little bit flimsy. Cardstock doesn't have the most strength, but it should work. I just needed to make sure that I was using like thin materials to keep that bulk down. Artfully Musing is a YouTube channel. Laura Carson just recently discovered her channel. Huh. Interesting. So Artful Musings is a miniatures company, but Artfully Musing is a YouTube channel? Are they related? Because I always love hearing of new miniature channels, so. trace this other piece. And then I'll cut them out. If you guys are following along, let me know how it's going. I think half scale is just really, it's like extra cute for some reason. It's just so tiny. I don't know if you guys follow Kraken Make Ruckus. I did a collab with her a couple years ago. She does everything in half scale, and it's amazing. She made a recliner that actually reclines in half scale, and if you follow, I think it's D. Thomas Fine Miniatures, he featured her recliner. Just so cool. But she does everything in half scale. And so it was really fun to collab with her because I had to make a piece of furniture in half scale. And then she made the Addams Family clock. But it's like a miniature house, which is what their clock is. Really, really cool. So y'all should check out that collab if you haven't. Or if you're really into half scale, you should look at her channel. I don't think she's posted in a while. I know she's been like really, really, really busy in real life. But she's got a lot of really cool stuff on her channel. You should definitely check it out. Yeah, she hasn't been on in a long time. Oh, okay. So it is the same person. Huh. Okay. I'll have to look her up. Yeah, she hasn't been posting. So she's okay. I see her every now and then post on some other stuff. But I think her main focus hasn't been YouTube for a while. But her videos are still really cool if you're interested in half scale. Okay, so I'm just gonna carefully cut these guys out. And that one's done. Because these pieces are so small, like all the little scrap pieces, it all starts blending in. It's like an I Spy of where did all my pieces go. So I'm gonna cut this guy out. And then we are going to add batting to these pieces because these are going inside the chair, and I want the inside of the chair to look nice and squishy. So we cut down on the bulk on the outside of the chair so that the inside of the chair could still have that comfortable appeal to it. To figure out where my batting went. There it is. Okay. So I'm just going to cut off a little piece because we don't need that much. And this, I bought a queen size quilt batting roll of this stuff when I first started making miniatures, and this is that same roll. It's just lasted me for, what, 10 years now? Because it's like, I make miniatures, so I don't need that much of it. So, I love that about the miniatures hobby. Like, you end up with a lot of stuff, like a lot of different things, like, fabric and glues, but all that stuff lasts forever because you're making things that are like this big. Oh, you're gonna make her easel? That's so cool. I got behind because my fabric will not stick. I will win. Yes, you will. Yeah, you may have to do a little bit more wait time on the drying. Hi, Elaine. I found that using my Olfa rotary cutters and my favorite scissors are my applique ones that now need to be resharpened. They just let me cut so precisely. Yeah, the rotary cutters are amazing. Like, at first I was like, I can't see how that would really work that well because I had never used one. But now I'm like, those are pretty awesome. Just occurred to me that I can ask all of you guys. I need to make a bathtub for my doll's house. Can you recommend any good tutorials? I have not made a bathtub, so if y'all know of someone's channel where they've made a bathtub, please let Claire know. Hi, Anastasia. I am doing good. We are making a half-scale chair. I hope you're doing good too. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue each one of these pieces to the batting, and then I'm going to cut them out from the batting. And this is going to make the squish on the interior. Saw some vids on making bathtubs out of the bottom of dish detergent bottles. Ooh. Hi, Juju Bug. So if y'all know which video it is where you make it out of a dish detergent bottle. I don't typically do bathrooms in my projects, so I get to skip all of that. I don't know why, I've just never been interested in making a dollhouse bathroom. I just never have been. I like looking at the ones that other people make. I think they're really cool. And this actually wasn't fitting very well. Yeah, I'm going to cut it down just slightly. I think they're really interesting to see created, and a lot of people make really cool bathrooms. I just have not been interested. Let's see. Okay. All right, so I've got all these pieces glued down. Thank you, Elaine. Stiff leather works well for honing blades. Will there be any different size shutters for the kit? I'm going to start out with one size that fits a lot of different dollhouse kits. But then if I get requests for other sizes, like very frequently, then I might make some other sizes. My goodness. I'm glad there's so many comments, but I'm sure I'm missing some. So if there's something directed towards me, just let me know. Okay, I'm going to cut these pieces out. And try not to lose them. So after cutting out, I have this cardstock piece with the quilt batting on one side. This is what's going to give kind of the fuzzy appearance. And in my other one, my larger tutorial, I did multiple layers, and it kind of builds up the back of the chair. So this back part kind of poofs out a little bit more than the sides. I'm not going to do that for this half scale chair. I mean, I guess I could do a little bit. We're experimenting, so I'm going to try just a little bit. But I have the back piece, and now I'm going to cut out the side pieces that are also glued onto the quilt batting. And this is going to make the sides squishy. I am going to put multiple layers on the seat cushion, especially since I didn't put the extra piece on the bottom. I forgot to add this guy, the extra piece marked D. You can add it, or you can do what I'm doing here, and I'm going to take, I can't remember who it was, I'm going to take the suggestion of painting it and gluing it on last. So we're going to try that out. And it'll just look like it has a solid frame on the bottom. Okay, so here's an interior piece that will get pushed like so. So I'm going to cut the other side out. And make sure you've glued them on opposite sides. Because otherwise, if you glue it on the same side of those pieces, then one side, it won't face into the chair, if that makes sense. Guys, I am getting hungry. That's why we only go for 2 hours, because then I'm usually hungry by the time of the end of the live stream. Okay, so I have these pieces right here for the inside of my chair. I am going to go ahead and cover those with fabric. And I want to do this first because then I can size my inside piece to make sure it fits with the fabric and everything. So that's why I'm doing it in this order. Oh, I was going to do an extra piece on the upper part of here. So I'm going to cut a small piece out of this fabric, and then I'm going to try and pull it in half. Let's see if that works. See if we can split quilt batting in half. Because since we're halving the height and the length, we have to also half the width of the materials. No, it doesn't want to split. So it's not going to be an easy like pull a layer off, but I think we can add it to the top here and then I'll kind of snip around it. Hi Crazy Craft Lady, we are making a half scale chair from my 12th scale tutorial. We're trying to make it work. Ara, I'm in the middle of making a Halloween advent calendar in the shape of an Adam's house. May need those shutters. That's really cool. I really want to see that when you're done with it. I'd love to see how that looks. That's really cool. Okay, and you're gonna make templates to sell them online? That's awesome. Okay. Now I'm just gonna snip away at like the edges so that I don't have like a hard edge on this batting when I put the material over it. So it doesn't make that much more thickness, but in half scale, you know, this is like an extra inch or two. So you just kind of have to be mindful of the scale. Okay, so I gotta clean off my surface. I can't see everything. It's getting smaller and smaller. All right, so I'm gonna cut off some more of this fabric. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to glue these, making sure I have enough of an edge, like a 1/4 inch edge around each one of these pieces. And I'm going to just glue on the outside edge of the batting, because if I put glue on the inside, the fabric can kind of get stuck and kind of pull, especially now that we've got some fuzziness. Got to be careful about where the glue goes. So I'm just going to do it along the edge. Just enough for the fabric to catch hold onto it. And then I'm just going to remove some of it with my fingers, of course. And then I'm going to set it down, making sure I have a 1/4 inch all the way around. I'm going to get a wipe for my fingers. I just don't want to, I want to make sure I don't touch the fabric with glue on my fingers because it will not come off. Remind me of the number to use for the prompt post on, or the hashtag. It's hashtag Bentley House Prompts. I'll write it. If you made a robot, make sure you use, oops. Sorry, my keyboard's covered in everything. Bentley House Prompts. Gotta make sure I spell prompts. Bentley House Prompts. Are you still accepting books for the Captain's Quarter? I am, and I'll be accepting it probably for the duration of the project or until the shelves get filled up. And I have an entire box full of letters that have books in them. And I know that the next the next video I create is going to be the captain's quarters, and so I will be sharing the books that I've already gotten in the next video, and I'll put them up on the shelf, and I'll say who they were from and where they're from. So I've already gotten like really cool books. I'm very excited. Okay, so I've got that one kind of glued down, and now I'm going to glue these guys. Can we finish the chair in 15 minutes? Probably not, but we're close enough that I think we can just, we'll do our best. Or I may just have to go get a snack. All right, so I'm gonna glue this guy down. Like so. Oh wait, I need to make sure there's plenty of room. Okay, I messed that up. Gotta make sure there's enough room around each piece so that you can fold the fabric around it. If you don't have enough fabric to fold around it, you're gonna get frustrated with that step. Okay, that looks good. All right, one more to glue down. You guys still have plenty of time for the books. Don't feel like you need to rush. The captain's quarters are going to go on for a while. So, and there's not like a finish date. Like when I get to the point where I'm like, okay, I won't take books after this point, I will let you guys know. But you still have plenty of time, so don't feel like you have to rush. My P.O. box is where you want to send the books, and you can find my P.O. box in the About section on my channel, or you can find it on the video where I talk about books for the captain's quarters. So you can find it in those areas. Okay, I almost didn't leave myself enough space there, but I think we'll be okay. Uh-oh, may have to jump off here. We're under a severe thunderstorm. Y'all, you be safe. I know it's headed our way as well. So, because he's in Oklahoma, we're in Texas. It's on its way to us. We've already gotten several warnings, so be safe. Is there any particular criteria for it? Yes, it has to be shorter than an inch. It can't be like taller than an inch, and it needs to be thinner than a 1/4 inch. So, and it says that in the video. So if you want to go back to the video, it gives you all the information. And I think it's in the description as well. Yeah, stay safe, Sean. So I got a question about COPPA. COPPA is still happening. So far, my channel is, I think, going to be safe. I'm going to be cutting around the edges. And at first, it didn't seem like really anything was happening with COPPA. And everything was just kind of going on its normal pathway. I follow a... thank you, Rachel. I follow a YouTube channel called Doodle Date, and it's two adults, a couple, and they run the channel, and they were doing like a coloring page, and I guess you could see coloring as for children. They weren't speaking in like a child tone. They weren't making the video for children. They just like to draw, and it was a coloring page that their artist that she had created, and so they were just coloring it in a video and talking, and anyway, they had marked their video as not for kids because it wasn't. Like, you can tell from the way they were speaking in the video, they weren't trying to reach out to children or anything. They were speaking like adults, to adults. And they marked their video as not for kids, and then YouTube went back and marked their video for kids. Now, what YouTube says is that you should be able to go back in, and if YouTube is wrong, you should be able to change it back to your original decision. So you should be able to change it back to not for kids if that is what you decide your video is. So they tried to do that, but then nothing changed. And it was kind of an eye-opener to, okay, if YouTube decides, so basically what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to chop myself off here for a second. I'm going to pull this piece down over the top, carefully trying to get a really nice smooth fold on the top piece. And I'm going to start with the top because this is the most important part right here. The rest of this is going to be tucked into the chair. So I'm going to be careful about folding this over. Okay, so back to Kappa. So the thing that I learned from listening to what they're going through is that yes, YouTube says you can change it back, but that doesn't mean that they're going to give you your comments back. There's not going to be notifications back. And basically, YouTube still has say over your video. So even though they were making it sound like you could go back and change it, if you truly believe your video is not for kids, then you should be able to change it back. But it's looking like, and theirs could just be a fluke situation, but they're large enough that YouTube should be responding to them and YouTube isn't. So if you want to follow that, their Twitter is Doodle Date on Twitter, and that's kind of where I've been watching what they've been going through. They kind of use some not nice language, so if you're sensitive to that, just be mindful because they're mad. So anyway, another thing that's going on is there's a new law that's trying to be passed called Protect, and it's basically trying to extend all the COPPA stuff to 16 years old, because right now it goes up to 13 years old. They're trying to extend it to the age of 16, which you'd say, well, it's just an extra 3 years, and yes, children in those age categories need to be protected, but I feel like by the time, and all this stems around trying to protect children from knowing what is or isn't an ad. By the time you're 13, like, I just feel like they're not giving children enough credit. They're not giving parents enough credit. They're really just trying to parent from the government, I think. That's just my opinion. But I don't know. Someone made a good point. From what I was reading, they said by 16, you're allowed to drive in America. You're allowed to have a job. Basically, you know, they're giving you adult responsibilities. Shouldn't you be able to make, you know, adult decisions regarding what kind of ads you watch, I guess? I don't know. I mean, I probably shouldn't be talking about it because I haven't researched that much into it. I just saw it last night. But it's something to look into. I don't know, kind of with the COPPA thing, like, since I'm a parent, like, I feel it's my responsibility to be mindful about what my children are watching online. It's my responsibility to teach my children, this is an ad. These people are trying to get your money. They do not have your best, you know, interest in mind. They just want you to spend money. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say too much and get myself into a corner. But anyway, so what I did here is I pulled this side over like this, and I'm going to pull this side over and then push it down like so. And I'm just trying to get a crisp corner to create this cushion. Parents need to be more involved and monitor what their kids do. Yeah, they do. It's definitely an important thing. We have all sorts of locks and safety features on our devices that our children use. And even then, I'm still monitoring, and I'm like, okay, show me your screen, and just making sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Because honestly, a lot of school stuff is now on technology. Like, there's no way to get around it. If you're in a public school system, your kids are going to have to be on technology. So you have to learn and study the ways to protect your children, because they're like, it's not going away, you know? So, moved to Mississippi from Missouri to get away from that stuff. Yeah. Parents should be parents and be conscious, can't say that word either today. Conscious of what their children are watching online and teach online safety. As for spotting ads, my 11-year-old brother spots them faster than my mom does. Yeah, I think they're just not giving kids, I mean, kids are smart, like, and that's the whole reason that people are saying they need to update COPPA, because the rule was written for a generation of kids that were new to the internet, and the kids that are around now. So right now I'm just going to pull this up. These kids grew up on the internet. They grew up on technology. It's not a new thing for them. And so they need to give more credit to how intelligent kids are. Now, I do worry for the kids whose parents don't monitor their activity, and that unfortunately happens quite a bit. So I think it's an important law, but they just need to update it to today. So anyway, we'll move on from COPPA, because I know that's not everybody's favorite subject. Okay, so I'm just going to pull this tight so that I have it completely wrapped here. And then I'm just going to put glue wherever I need to put glue so that it goes as flat against the cardstock on the back as possible. So now my little back cushion looks like so, and I didn't really pay attention, but if you do have a specific pattern that you really want on the back, like a certain flower you want on the back, you can kind of gauge where that's going to show up on your pattern. So like I could have centered this flower or made sure there were other flowers on there. I didn't really pay attention to it, but anyway, that's how it turned out. So now I'm just going to check and make sure that it fits, and it does. What you're going to get is this line right here, and I actually really like how that looks. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this guy in, because he's the first piece to go in. A friend of mine refuses to allow their kids to have cell phones, tablets, and computers until they are 12 years old. Yeah, I know there's a movement for that. We can't avoid it, honestly, just because for school reasons. But it's something that we'll tackle along the way. I grew up on a very, I would say, frugal technology. It wasn't like, I never grew up having to have the latest thing, and we just didn't have the latest thing, and I survived. So I know my children will too. We will do what they need to do to have what they need to be successful, but we're not going overboard to be successful in what they need technology for. But we definitely won't be going overboard, and we won't be exposing them to things they're not ready for mentally. Oh, thank you, Rachel. Okay, so here is the back cushion. Now we're going to work on the sides. This is where we have to do that thing again, where we have to cut into the rounded parts of the fabric. So I'm going to cut around, leaving another 1/4 inch or so that I have enough fabric to fold over. And I'll do the same for the other piece. Oh, I didn't do my cuts. And really, sometimes it depends on the fabric on how easy or difficult this is. If you have a really thick, stiff fabric, then it's going to be more difficult to fold over the edges. This is a very thin and flimsy fabric, which actually makes it really good for half scale or just miniatures in general. So if you're picking out a fabric, just kind of see how it moves in your hand, and it'll kind of help you gauge whether or not it's going to be easy to work with. If it's really stiff, it's not going to be very easy for you to work with. It's not going to want to fold over and make really tight, crisp corners. The kids' school is a bit upset for their decision, but isn't that what the library is for? I mean, true. They do need to provide what they need for to be successful. So they do have access to computers. I mean, now almost like every classroom has access to computers, it seems like. Okay. Now I'm going to fold the pieces over here, and okay. I'm trying not to rush, but y'all let me know if you're still with me. Do you still want me to keep going until at least I have the chair body together? Or y'all want me to go ahead and stop and then finish this another time? Y'all let me know, because I don't want people to be like 5-hour live stream. I'm not that I think it would be 5 hours. I don't think I would ever go over 3 hours, but I want it to be something people feel comfortable playing back and not feeling like they're just bored for that many hours. The chair technique reminds me of the way that we made padded picture frames and scrapbooks in the 80s. I made so many frames then, so I may be able to make some dollhouse furniture after all. There you go. I think my mom still, I think my baby book is the padded cover with the picture in the middle. I have to leave to go to an appointment. Great tutorial. We'll watch the rest on YouTube later. Have a great rest of the day. Okay, thank you, Maggie. Thanks for being here. Keep going. Okay. All right, we'll keep going at least until the chair body is finished. And yeah, we'll keep going. Because honestly, I don't think we're too far off from that. So now you can see the edge of the chair. I just turned it all over on the cardstock here. I have one channel that I watch, and she will stream for like 12 hours. 12 hours. My goodness. Of course, she's like playing games, and although sometimes she's doing art stuff or she's packaging stuff, and I'm just thinking, I'm like, that's 12 hours. That's crazy. But she's been doing it for a long time, so I guess she's kind of used to it. But still. And I'm sure there aren't people there for 12 hours straight, people going in and out of the stream. She's got over 1 million subscribers, so I'm sure it's just different people at different times. But I'm not sure I could stream for 12 hours because a lot of streaming is talking. That's a lot of talking. Hi, Catherine. I'm glad you're able to make it. We're still going for a little bit. I know it's like the end of our normal stream, but we're still going to go because we're getting close to finishing this chair body. Oh, no, you have the flu. I'm so sorry. Hope you feel better. Yikes. It is flu season. Hi, Mia. I think you were here earlier. I'm not sure I said hi to you, though. Hi, Michael. We're going a little bit longer than usual to finish up a chair, so you are still in time for the live. Okay. Pamela. I have to leave as well. I love the chair. Can't wait to see the little skeleton in it. Thanks for the fun chat. I will watch the rest later. Bye, Pamela. I don't see many crafters and miniaturists doing live streams. Yeah, I've seen some crafters do live streams, and I know Daniela Minnie. I don't know if you know her channel. She does a lot of polymer clay, and sometimes she does like resin stuff. She started doing live streams. I think she's done a couple now. But I think part of it is that there's so much dry time when it comes to miniatures, which is what I've kind of been skipping over during this time. It's kind of hard to make a live stream out of it, so I have to be very picky about what I choose to live stream, because if I was doing, well, that's not really, I was about to say if I'm painting a miniature, there's a lot of dry time, but that was my first live stream. I aged a miniature using crackle and paint, so and it went okay, but I have to be kind of mindful about what I choose to live stream, because a lot of people who come to my channel come for tutorials and to see how something is made, and it's very unsatisfying to watch a live stream for hours and then it not actually get finished. So that's why I'm willing to keep going today. I didn't really know how long this was going to take. Okay, so what I want to do, this piece keeps sticking up. I want to kind of push this piece into the chair. I want there to be a really tight, I don't want it to be sticking out too much, so I want there to be a tight joint when I push this piece in. And it's going to kind of push into this corner. So this goes all the way up to the corner, and what I'm doing is pushing against the padding here. And I'm just going to push back on the cardstock and kind of squeeze it in to make sure that it fits. And so we have this piece like so. And I'm going to make sure that these lines line up. And so far it does. Terrain Tutor does. Yes, he does do live streams. He does a lot of live streams, actually. Oh, good, Marcy. I can't wait to see. My only entertainment to the outside world. Oh, you're my only entertainment. Been trapped in this hotel room. My goodness. I hope you can get out soon. I like the map board. Oh, like the map board. Yeah. Yeah, you have to kind of figure out what you're going to do in the meantime. And sometimes, I mean, sometimes I can have problems with miniatures and it'll take me a while to figure out what I want to do. You just kind of got to go with it. Luckily, I know a lot of you guys are experienced miniaturists. You've tried several different things. So a lot of times you guys can give me ideas and help me as long as I have that item. I can kind of try you guys' ideas too, and then it becomes like a group project to try and get something finished. Try to get me out of my predicament. Okay, so I added glue, and now I'm just gonna shove this piece back, and I'm just pushing with my fingernail. If you don't have nails, you can kind of get like something with like an edge like this and kind of just make sure that you've still got a crease back here, and then push it in like so. Did anyone else try to download the half scale pattern? Because I know someone said it didn't work for them. So let me know if someone was able to successfully download it. Yes, it does save on like editing, which is really great. And that's why I'm doing my live streams now on a Friday. So I still have a video up for those people. I know not everyone likes live streams, but I still have a video up for those who want to see a miniature video on Friday. But it gave me this whole week to work on my kits, which was nice because usually I'm filming and then I'm editing and then, you know, it's a whole production. And so it gives me that time. And then also I had a sick kid this week, so I had time to be mom and I wasn't feeling rushed. So yeah, it's been nice to live stream because editing video is just not my favorite thing. And having at least one break during the month from having to edit something is really nice. I wouldn't mind building miniatures every week, which I mean, obviously I do, because I'm still doing the live stream, but just having a break from editing is so worth it. So let's see. Okay, so I see some people were able to download it. Okay. Seeing a struggle is a learning experience too. It shows that even the expert has to figure things out. I'm glad to hear that. Because I always feel like, I don't know, once you have like, you know, a channel, I feel like I'm like, okay, I got to get a video and I've got to get it right. And I don't like, if I put a tutorial out there, I don't want anyone to struggle with it. I want it to be good enough so that you can go in, watch the video, feel confident, and come out of it with a miniature that you love. And so live streams are less controlled. And so like the mat board thing, I'm like, people are going to watch this and think that mat board is the worst material ever. And it's not. It's just that mat board. The other mat board I used is horrible. And so, you know, it's good to see that. You can see that different types of mat board, some are good, some are bad. So you got to kind of go with different brands. But yeah, they're less controlled than videos where I know in a video, I'm just like, okay, I won't show the part where I used bad mat board. I'll show it where I used the good mat board and it wasn't too difficult. But you're right, it is good to see that you can struggle with materials and figure it out. Okay, so I'm going to finish covering this guy here. We finally get to move into our new house on the 15th. Can't wait. Finally, a single floor home with easy access to my new studio room. Oh, yay. That sounds amazing. Click on picture brings up a larger picture. Click on the dots upper right corner. We'll use. Oh, okay. Thank you for helping, Rachel. Let's see. Lives are a different animal. Yeah, that's for sure. But it's fun. Like, I really enjoy it. It's fun to sit down, and I feel like it definitely, like, I love answering comments, but it's not the same as getting to talk to you guys in real time. So I really think it makes being able to do the live streams, I feel very blessed that I can do live streams. I think it just makes our channel more of a community. Oh, thank you, Lonnie. That means a lot for me to hear. I'm glad no one is watching my struggle. I said a few bad words. That's another thing. You can't really always say how you feel about what you're working on when you're live. I mean, I'm sure no one would mind, but yeah. Sean left. He was the one who needed 30 windows. He said he'll come back and watch the end of it, so I'm sure he'll see it. But check out I've seen your name a million times, and I always try to say Swearingen Lawanda. Swearingen Lawanda left you an idea, Sean. So make sure you check out the comments of using a cake cover. Let me know if I said that right. That's the first time I've attempted to say it out loud. I've attempted to say it in my head several times. It's another fun part about live streams. Y'all get to test me on if I can say your usernames. Because I see them when I answer comments, but I don't have to say them out loud. I get tested during the live streams. But I used to work as a substitute teacher, so I had a lot. Swear engine. Okay, gotcha. I've been wanting to make a really tall Mad Hatter's chair for the longest time, and watching this is finally making me think I might be able to make one. Yay! I actually made a Mad Hatter's chair a long time ago before I had a YouTube channel. And I made it like green and like the really tall back like you're talking about. And then I purchased these little bitty tiny spools of thread, and then I just kind of put them on the sides of the chair. It was kind of like decoration. It was fun. All the Alice in Wonderland characters are really fun to make things for. Let's see. Will you do live streams more often? Would love if you could. Let's see. Well, maybe. I've often thought about doing like one during the day and then one at night at like a different time, because I know people are in like different time zones. Probably not the same day, but like a different time of the month. Not trying to push anyone towards this, but I do an extra live stream on Patreon. So Patreon gets their own live stream each month. So I do actually live stream 2 times a month, but just one of them's on Patreon. That's one of their, what do they call them? Perks. But it doesn't mean I won't live stream more in the future, just on YouTube. See, I have switched out my bad words for not bad ones like sugar donuts. Balls. My favorite is gravy. Quality is always better than quantity. Aw, thank you, Mia. Yes, the book dimension, it has to be an inch or less tall, and it needs to be a 1/4 inch or less thick. So that's not wide. You can make it pretty much as wide as you want. The reason I have a dimension for the height is so that it fits on the shelves, because the shelves are about 1 inch apart. So I want to make sure you don't send me something that won't fit on the shelves. And then a 1/4 inch thick, just because that's a good measurement for how thick a book would be in that scale. So I'm going to put this other side on. It didn't come out quite as pretty, but that's okay. It's strange. I hated Alice in Wonderland when I was a kid, but now I love it. You know what movie I did not like? I did not like The Wizard of Oz. Only because the witch melted. And it just, like, my little brain couldn't handle it. And it wasn't even gross. Like, I remember watching Indiana Jones and that, like, scene where, like, everybody melts, like, literally melts, and it's disgusting. And I wasn't really bothered by that, but something about the witch, like, turning into, like, mist, I just couldn't handle it. I've made a lot of the Wonderland characters before, but never furniture. Love the thread idea. We'll definitely give it a go. I hope you'll share it with me. I'd love to see it. I love all things Alice in Wonderland. Okay. So now we got the 2 sides on. Now we can work on the base. And I've got some threads coming out here, like so. So now I got to make sure that this actually fits, because now that we've got all of our upholstered pieces in, if it doesn't fit, I need to cut it down a little bit. And I think I do, because, yeah, I just need to cut it down. Because you also have to remember that the fabric is going to be wrapping over the edge, so you need to leave room for the fabric as well. Okay, I'm going to cut it a little bit more. Trying to keep my cut as straight as possible. Doing a not fantastic job at it, but it's all right. Let me see if I can get a ruler. Fun fact, in The Wizard of Oz, it's not snow in the poppy field, it's asbestos. Oh my goodness. Is that a fun fact? That's a scary fact. Those poor actors. So the books are to be 1.5 centimeters. Let's see. They need to be 2.5 centimeters tall. Right? 2.5 centimeters tall. Okay, I'm going to cut a little bit more. See it fit. Okay, and now I'm going to use my pencil to kind of mark. So what it's doing is it's kind of coming off the edge here, and I want it to line up pretty much with the edge. Like so. I'm going to cut this guy. So if you do use this pattern just as, because it's going to vary just a little bit depending on how much padding you use. Like if you use quilt batting or if you use felt, maybe you won't use any at all. It depends on the thickness of your fabric. So when you get to this point, you're probably going to have to custom cut this piece, which I think was piece E. You're going to have to custom cut piece E so that it fits in your chair. Depending on what materials you used. Okay, so now we are going to use more of this quilt batting to build up the seat cushion. Can you do a miniature rocking chair? Possibly. I've always thought that would be fun, but there's so many rocking chair tutorials out there already. But it'd be fun to do like a custom one. If I have a project where I need a rocking chair, then I might do that. Let's see. Would you be interested in receiving stuff for the Addams Family Vault jewelry? Possibly. Yeah, I've received stuff for the Addams Family before, and I actually have some stuff already for the vault. But if you have some stuff, just let me know and I can let you know. I don't want you to send me something that I can't use because that's cost for you, and then I don't want you to lose those supplies. But if you let me know or send me a picture, then I can definitely let you know. I really appreciate that. Ara had a thought about, hi Martha. Ara had a thought about the attic room you didn't know what to do with. Pubert's room. They put the baby in the very tall attic space, which would be a very Addams thing to do, I guess. Yeah, I've actually had people ask me if I was going to make Pubert, which I wasn't planning to, but I actually do have baby Watt. I want to say Watt, but it's baby What? And that's its baby, cousin its baby. I actually do have him, and they showed up in the same movie, so it wouldn't make sense for me to have cousin its baby What and not have Pubert. So I'll have to kind of think through it. And What was actually a gift to me. So, all right, so here's the cushion. We can kind of decide. I don't want to put too much because then there won't be much of an arm. But let's see. I think I can add maybe one more. We'll do one more layer of batting. It's very gluey. This thick tacky glue gunks up really quick because I guess it's extra thick. It makes sense. All right. I'll just stick this on here. Cut it off. So I have 3 layers of batting on this seat, and you can kind of just go with whatever looks right with your chair. And so that's what the cushion, that's the height of the cushion. So now I can cover it with fabric. Oops, that's probably too much fabric, but that's okay. I'm gonna get another drink. Another fun fact, baby Pubert was played by twin baby girls. I think I knew that Pubert was played by a girl. I didn't know it was twin girls, but that makes sense because I think a lot of Hollywood, they have to have twins because there's only a certain number of hours that children can work. I have to put up another room for the nursery. I'm running out of space. Yeah, Carmenlita, you should give it a try. I was a little scared of it at first, but you just kind of have to change some of your scale of materials, and you can do a lot of things that you do in 12 scale and half scale. You just have to, change the thickness of your materials, and yeah, so it's not too bad. Karen from Crack and Make Ruckus kind of showed me that because I had to make something for her in half scale. I'm not sure I'll ever go to quarter scale, but half scale's not too bad. I might actually try quarter scale this summer because there's a class I want to take in Dallas, but I haven't signed up for it yet. I actually looked at the date because I'm like trying to figure out when the sign up time is. Okay, so I glued the fabric on top of the batting material, just like I did for the other pieces. And I'm going to work on the front of the cushion first. And this is practically a square, so it doesn't really matter where the front of the cushion is. And since it doesn't really matter, I might just use the front of the cushion as whichever side of this ends up turning out okay. But I'm just going to fold it over. And then I'll probably fold over the back and then work on making the sides look good. I think the smaller scale you go into, like the bigger the mistakes are. I think that's why I have a hard time with it, because like if you make a little mistake on a 12 scale piece, like if I folded a piece of fabric weird over here, it's tinier on this piece, right? But on this piece, if I folded a piece of fabric weird right here, it's going to be like twice as big. And so the mistakes that I make are just bigger. So since I like hiding my mistakes, I think that's why I hesitate when it comes to the smaller scales. The Dallas Miniature Showcase is in June or July. If you go to Dallas Miniature Showcase, if you Google that, it will give you all the information, and they've started announcing the classes. So I think there's like pictures you can go see of what the classes are. So if any of y'all are going to decide to go to the Dallas show this summer, just let me know, because I will definitely be there, and I would love to meet y'all if you end up going. I've done some sculpting in quarter scale, and you need a lot of patience. I can't do it often. Kind of have to hold your breath while you do it and hope for the best. I can understand that. Okay. All right, so basically all I did was fold this side, kind of like you're packaging a gift, and then I glued these bottom pieces inside the cushion, and now I'm just going to take this flap, kind of like a gift, and then fold it over and glue it down. So probably not the best way to do it, and for some reason, like even though there's curves on other parts of the chair, this is always the hardest part for me, like getting a really nice, crisp looking cushion. It's just always difficult for me. So, and it's like, it's a square. It shouldn't be that difficult, but for some reason it always is. And I struggle with it. I don't know. That may end up being the front of the cushion. I can kind of move it around and see what looks the best before I glue it in. Especially since the cushion's square, it should fit multiple ways. Okay, so I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side, and we're almost done with the cushion. And then I'm going to fold it down like so. I think. After a while, it just becomes a glue mess. Dallas Miniature Showcase just followed my Instagram 10 minutes ago. That's awesome. Yeah, that's how I've known what classes they have, is because they've been posting on their Instagram. Yeah, the cushion is pretty fiddly. It's my least favorite part. But it's necessary. Okay. So I think I'm going to try and put the cushion in this way. Luckily, the cushion, like if you have two sides you don't like just pick the side that you like. And then the other ones are going to be hidden by the arms. So like so. So it's going to look like this. So just pick the side you like the most and then do that. Yeah, I like the glue, the super thick tacky glue, and I haven't had any of it like come through the fabric, which is why I was using this in the first place, because in the past when I've done upholstery, I've had like the glue seep through the fabric, and then you just have this weird spot on your fabric that just it looks like the fabric's dirty, and there's not really much you can do about it after it's seeped through. But I haven't had this thick tacky glue seep through. So I definitely suggest it. If you're going to be working with fabric, you can give it a try if you have a hard time with the glue. Because I struggled with that forever, because I would prefer to glue fabric over, right now all I'm doing is I'm just tucking the corners of the fabric in. As the glue is drying, I'm just pushing the fabric in, and then I want to push the cushion down so that it stays nice and flat. So I'm kind of manipulating it while the cushion is drying, or the glue is drying. So there we go. That's the inside of our chair. Let's see our little skeleton dude in it. He fits. Do 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 do. All right, so the last thing we have to do is we have to make a piece that covers up this line right here. And honestly, you don't have to make that piece. It really doesn't look bad without it, but you don't see many chairs that has like a deep seam right here. So I like to make the piece that covers it. So what I do for that is, well, on the big piece, I took a piece of cardstock. On the big chair, I mean. I took a piece of cardstock and then cut out a piece that was about the right width. So I don't know if cardstock is too thick or if I should use computer paper. I think I'm going to use computer paper because we're trying to cut down on bulk. The fabric itself is going to be bulky, so I'm going to go grab computer paper real quick. And you might not think that it makes a difference, but just anywhere, if you're going smaller in scale, anywhere you can cut out bulk, do it, because it's going to help your chair or whatever you're making look that much more realistic. The skeletons are called pose skeletons, so P-O-S-E, pose skeleton, and you can find them on Amazon. They have a bunch of different little kits that can go with them too. I made the bigger chair and ottoman for a scene and a lantern. I've been hooked. I made the fireplace out of foam board and made it look like brick. I was surprised how it turned out good. Well, I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, once you kind of do it once, you get familiar with it. It's not as like learning something new. I mean, learning anything new. Once you do it once, then it's not as scary. But like when you're thinking about it, you've never done it before, you're like, upholstery, I don't know. But once you walk through it, it's not so scary anymore. Okay, let me get computer paper real quick. Actually, I have computer paper right here. It's my pattern that apparently touched my drink, so now it's wet on this side. All right. So all I'm going to do is cut off a thin piece. I don't know, this is maybe we'll do a little bit bigger than like an 1/8 inch. like so. And the reason I cut a piece of paper, you don't have to do it this way, but when I start folding it kind of serves as a template for the fabric and where the fabric needs to fold. So let me find a nice length of fabric here. You're welcome. The little pose skeletons are cute, and it can come with like, I have a little pose skeleton doggy too. See? And his little arms and legs move, and he can sit, and they're just really cute. So whenever I knew I was gonna do like a half scale house, I was like, I want to do it for the little skeletons. Oh, they're really cute. I think you can get like smaller, like these are the adult size, so I think you can get like kid size ones too. So you can have like a whole family. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this long strip that I cut, and I'm just going to glue it along the fabric here. And then I'm going to cut around it and fold the fabric over. That's the plan. Okay, so glue this down. And this is probably a little bit longer than I need, but I want to make sure it's a little bit longer than this length because I want to make sure it goes off the edge. Maybe he would like a footstool. He might like a footstool to rest his bones. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing for this because we need two of them since there's two sides to the chair. Okay, so stick it down like so. And clean my fingers. Wonder if it'd be possible to use polymer clay over the top of the skeleton parts to create filled out bodies. Possibly. It would make for good joints because I don't know if you can technically call them ball jointed or not. I'm not quite sure. I mean, they do look like little ball joints. They don't have the best range of mobility. I mean, they're little plastic toys. They're not quite like doll. They're definitely not doll creator quality, but yeah, you probably could. My drink is dripping everywhere from condensation. Okay, so now I'm going to cut the fabric around these guys. Okay, I'm going to cut really, really close because I don't want too much extra fabric. I'm going to cut really, really close to these strips of paper here, but still have enough fabric to flip them over the side. And then do the same on the other side. I just don't want the fabric overlapping too much because then that will, again, bulk up this piece and make it a little bit too thick. And honestly, you don't have to do the paper inside. I've tried to do it where I created it without the paper inside, but I find that I just am not very consistent on it. And so the paper makes it a little bit easier. Oh no, just looked up pose skeletons. Yeah, they're so cute, and there's so many things that you can buy for them. Yep. Sorry about that. Oh, they are plastic. You could probably, like, when you purchase a post skeleton, sometimes they come with like accessories. You could probably, if you had an accessory you didn't care about, I would just put it in the oven at the same temperature that the polymer clay bakes and see if it survives before you actually put the little skeleton in there. This is going to be difficult, I can already tell. So basically I'm going to try and fold this fabric over. Oh my goodness. This is why I work in 12th scale. This is going to be difficult. Maybe pliers or something. Let's see if I can use this. It's just so tiny. Okay, I'm just going to go a little bit at a time and fold each piece over. Hopefully it doesn't come out too wobbly. This is a lot easier to do in 12th scale. But what it creates is a nice straight edge of fabric. Although that doesn't look nice and straight. Maybe I can fold it over. Nope. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place the piece on the table and then fold it over and push. And that'll fold it over with the most precision. It may get a little glue on your table, so if you're not working on a craft mat, just be mindful of that. But I think that's faster and creates a more straight edge. Okay. Put a little bit more glue. How does joining your Patreon work? Not familiar with that. So if you go, I think it's in the description of this video. If you go down, it should have a link, and then it will take you to my Patreon page, and it'll kind of walk you through the steps. And it's $2 a month, and you get access to everything. There's only one tier. Some people have Patreon where there's like multiple tiers, and it depends on how much you pay is what you get. And I just have one tier, and it'll walk you through how to sign up, and then basically you can go to Patreon, and right now I think there's like 4 months worth of stuff on there. Have I been doing it for 4 months? I think, or maybe more than that. But it has kind of behind the scenes things, so everything typically comes out on my YouTube channel eventually, but you can see what I'm working on at the time I'm working on it. So sometimes I like hide projects, or I hide announcements for a little bit until it's the right time to let it go public. And but on Patreon, you pretty much get to know what's going on right away. And then sometimes if I need advice or ideas, I'll put little polls on Patreon. So that's kind of how Patreon works for me. Some people do it different ways, but for me, it's kind of a behind the scenes. Sometimes I'll do like a little vlog type thing. So it's basically like 5 to 7 minutes most of the time. And I'm just saying, this is what I'm doing today. This is how it's going. So, yeah. All right. So I thought this was going to be an easy part, and it's given me fits. All right. So I'm going to do the same thing where I just fold it over, stick it down. Fold it over, stick it down. I'm getting glue everywhere. I got mine at Menards during Halloween, but mine are 12 scale, one size bigger than Aira's. Did you got 12 scale post skeletons? I didn't know they made those. Maybe you mean something else. Maybe I missed something. All right. So I think I'm going to finish putting these guys on the chair, finish the chair body, and then I'll explain to you how I plan to do the bottom of the chair, and then I'll post the bottom of the chair on Instagram, because I have something I gotta get prepared for this evening, so I gotta go do that too. So there's probably a better way to do this. This is kind of coming out not the best, and I'm also kind of rushing because I'm live. Okay, so probably I would say the most accurate way to do it is with these guys, but I don't know. Okay, well, the idea behind this, even though it's not working great, it works better in 12 scale, is that this piece goes over the edge of the chair like so, and it covers up that crevice, or basically the gap between the outside piece and the inside pieces, and then you glue it down and it gives you a more cohesive look to your chair. So I found that making small fabric strips like that works best by ironing. Yeah, ironing would definitely work. I have a small iron that I use for my dolls, and I probably should have started it up for this live stream. You don't have to have an iron like that to do this. It just takes more time because you can't press the seams. But anyway, this is how this looks, and it's not too bad. I'll probably just do one side, and then tell you guys about how I plan to do the bottom, and then we'll probably let in the stream, because we're getting close to 3 hours here. So let me put this guy on, and then we will talk about the base. So I'm just going to put glue. I probably should put it on the strip of fabric, but for some reason I'm putting it straight onto the chair. I would probably put it on the fabric, not on the chair like I just did. I thought about that after I started. Because then you have to worry about the glue getting on the fabric. Then I'm just going to push it down, and I'm making sure that it stays as straight as possible as I work my way down the chair. And then it's just going to run the full length of that side of the chair. I'm just going to push until I like how it looks, and I got to check the outside and the inside, because you've got two different planes that two different pieces that you're trying to cover up the gap. Just make sure you're checking both sides as you're putting it on the chair. Found the dog, but it's not to scale, so it's a St. Bernard. That works. Definitely works. I found that making a small fabric strips like that. Oh yeah, I already read that. Sorry, yeah, it's been 3 hours. We're wrapping it up though. Y'all can get back to your day. Okay. So, this is what it looks like. And when you have a busy pattern like this, it's a little bit better because it just kind of blends in. You can't really tell that it's a separate piece. So all I'm going to do is I am going to, like on the big one, I would have turned it under, but turning it under is going to just make it like a bigger piece. So all I'm going to do is just glue it and kind of put a little bit of glue on the end to kind of fray check the fabric. And then I'm just going to glue it down. If I can find my toothpicks, here they are. Oh, thank you, Molly. Yeah, it's been a long one, but we're getting towards the end. I'm just going to finish up this piece on the chair, and then I will show the finished piece on Instagram and Facebook. Okay. So all I did was just add a little bit of glue to this end that I chopped off. And I'm just going to press that down. And then you can go back with a toothpick and just, if you have any like little bits of thread sticking out, just push it underneath while that glue is still drying. And I'm going to do the same for the bottom piece. Right as it hits the bottom, I'm going to snap it off. And then I'm going to take a little bit of this glue, put it underneath the edge here, and then just press it down so that it's as flat as possible. So you can see the difference between this side where you have a gap here that looks kind of strange, and then this side where it's covered up and it looks like there's seams along the edge of the armchair. So, thank you. Bye, Danielle. Have a good day at work. Okay, so my plan for the base is this piece that was part D that I forgot to add here. Who was it that gave me the idea to just use this as a piece on the bottom? Thank you for that idea. I'm sorry, I forgot who it was. It might have been Swear Engine Lawanda. I'm not sure. But I will just probably paint this brown, and it will get glued to the bottom so it looks like it has a wood base. And then I'll probably chop off some of the toothpick and then use that. I'll take just like my little Dremel and make a hole, and then I'll put the little foot pieces from the toothpicks in there, kind of like this, except instead of fabric, this piece is wood. So it'll end up looking like that. So anyway, I will, like I said, post that on Instagram and Facebook so you guys can see how it ended up in the end. I'll probably do like a dark wood. And then it's nice that I already have my model because I can kind of sit him in the chair and figure out what a good height for the chair is going to be for him specifically. So anyway, so the only thing I have left to do is this side and then the base with the chair legs. And that's it. Thank you, guys. I think I didn't really know how it was going to turn out. I knew it was going to be kind of a struggle to get it to look the right size in half scale, but I like it, so I'm glad you guys like it too. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. I'm gonna go grab some lunch, and yeah, I've got a fun event with my daughter tonight, so I'm excited to go get ready for that. I hope you guys have a great week, and if you're in some weather, be safe. If you're in Australia, be safe. 'Cause I know you guys are having some fires, like a lot of fires, so please be safe. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great week. Oh, and the next live stream will be, I always say when the next live stream will be. What month is it? Okay, it's going to be in February the 14th, Valentine's Day. Our next live stream is going to be on Valentine's Day. So you guys and me are going to spend Valentine's Day together. And I probably won't do anything Valentine's Day themed, but I think it'll still be a fun live stream. So I'll let you guys go. Thank you for being here, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.